You're listening to the Afro Chi Podcast, a show for my fellow Black female energy healers and the everyday woman who wants to heal her energy in a creative and holistic way. You'll hear from Black female healers who share their knowledge, gifts, and experiences and enlighten you on how to tap into your powerful Black energy to get the results you need to live an energetically free life. If you're ready to become unstuck, find freedom and peace energetically, stay tuned. I'm your host, Kiera Flipping. All right, I am so excited. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with the owner of Yoni Love Waistbeads. The owner will be talking with us today about the true meaning of waist beads, beyond them looking cute around your belly with your crop top. Our guest can be found on Instagram at Yoni Love Waistbeads, on Facebook at Yoni Love Intentional Adornments, and online at theyonilove.com. And guess what, y'all? She is also a Reiki 2 practitioner and soon will be offering energy coaching. Our guest today is Yoni of Yoni Love Waistbeads. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing good. I am so excited. I know I'm just like jumping out of my seat. I am so happy to talk about this topic. I know for me even, and probably for a lot of women, just waist beads, they're just so beautiful. And I'm not really sure if a lot of people know what waist beads are beyond them just looking fashionably cute, especially in the summer and the spring when we got on our little cute tops and our little waist beads is, dangling and looking good. Like, I don't really know if a lot of people know the true meaning. So I'm just so excited to talk about this. So I want to first start off, could you just tell us a little bit about what waist beads are, the history, and just what they really truly mean? What are waist beads?
Sure. And you know what? I'm actually finding the same. And I tend to forget because I make them and work with them so often that a lot of people don't know where and how they originated. So they originated in Africa. There are two schools of thought. Some believe that they started out in Nigeria, and then others believe Ghana was where they originated. But it's a centuries old practice of adorning the womb. And so there are a few reasons why women would adorn themselves. One of which would be for fertility, since they waist beads are worn around the womb space. They'd also be worn sort of as a rites of passage to show that a young girl was kind of moving into her womanhood. Depending on what sorts of beads or shells or colors were used, they might represent your status in the tribe. So just to backtrack, so waist beads are basically glass beads and other like stones or shells or that sort of those sorts of accessories strung typically or traditionally on cotton thread. And then the traditional kinds are just tied around the belly area for a permanent adornment. So traditionally they're not taken off. They're literally left on.
So did you say cotton?
Yes, ma'am.
They don't stretch.
The traditional ones
the
do
traditional
not.
one. Okay.
Yes. So I always say that they are going to give you like an accurate. So another reason why women will wear them is for weight management. And so the idea is if we're holding on to weight or gaining inches in our midsection, like if you're pregnant or, as women, our hormones change throughout the month with our moon cycle. And so if you're gaining inches, your waist beads are going to sit a little bit higher on your waist, like closer to the bust area. And then as you lose inches, they're going to actually do what we call fall or sit lower on the waist, closer to the hip area. And so with that cotton thread, because there's no give, if you're using them for weight management, they're really going to give you an accurate idea because there's no like wiggle room and they're not forgiving in that manner. So I like to call them like a sexy corset. sort of, but a lot healthier, because a lot of the corsets, they really constrict your internal organs, and we don't want that. So the waist beads are kind of the same concept if you're using them for weight management, but just a lot less restrictive than a corset.
That is so interesting. So it did originate in Africa. There is some history behind waist beads. They're not just fashion. They have meaning, they have purpose. How did you discover waist beads? Like, what got you into them?
So I started wearing them. It's been probably 10 or 15 years
Oh,
now that I
wow.
started wearing them. Yeah. And I started making them back in 2016.
Okay.
We had actually gone through a miscarriage,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself unemployed. And so I was looking for a way to just center my thoughts, something, give me something positive to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started making them just as like a labor of love. One of my close relatives was going through her own fertility journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, I wanted to make her a strand of waist beads to support that.
Mm.
Not realizing, and it really didn't click to me until maybe a year ago, that by sending healing energy to her womb,
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like healing myself vicariously through that.
Wow.
Like I wasn't, I think I wasn't in a place to directly focus in on our loss,
Mm-hmm.
but sending energy to other women's wombs, it was really enabling me to focus on my own, but in like a really subtle way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Hey Queens, isn't this such a great episode? Be sure to check out the Afro Healers Directory, where you can find healers in your area offering similar services to the guests on today's podcast. If you are a healer, please be sure to join the directory so that Black women can locate your healing services and offerings. To join and view the directory, please visit afroqi.com. Okay, let's jump back into this episode.
so I actually just sent a picture of the strand that I made to my sister circle group on Facebook, just because, they knew what I was going through. And so
Mm-hmm.
they would check in to see how I was doing. And so, I sent them a picture just saying, hey, this is what I'm up to. I was really proud of them. My
Yeah.
loved one really loved them. And I'll never forget, one of them asked if she could pay me to make her a strand. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my goodness. I was like, I don't, I don't do this professionally. I just, just something that I was just drawn to do. And
Mm-hmm.
literally ever since then, more and more women would reach out and place orders. And then I want to say I got my LLC and like really was intentional about it being a business offering in 2017.
Okay. Wow. So
Mm-hmm.
you had a personal relationship attachment to
Yeah.
waist beads.
Yes.
Wow. Have you ever personally witnessed how they've provided healing? I know you gave them as a gift,
Mm-hmm.
but in that instance, or do you have another instance where you were able to directly see like a connection between the waist beads and healing?
Well, so I get messages honestly all the time from
Mm-hmm.
customers that have either conceived the
Mm-hmm.
child that they've been longing for since they've been
Wow.
wearing waist beads. And I initially started out only doing custom orders.
Mm-hmm.
And the first question that I would ask is, what are your intentions for this strand? And
Mm.
so, I mean, the stories that the women would share with me, like I find it, I really hold it in like a sacred space,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm essentially a stranger to a lot of these women and the things that they confide in me. And it's not surface stuff like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I just want to focus on abundance. I mean, you should see my email,
Yeah,
paragraphs and
yeah.
paragraphs of stuff. And, once they share with me, like, maybe they're going through a divorce, or maybe they're looking to attract love, or maybe they're dealing with anxiety or depression. And
Mm.
then from there, I determine what color beads I'm going to use, if they
Mm-hmm.
need some chakra support,
Mm-hmm.
and then the healing stones and crystals that I also add on to embellish the waist beads as well.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you add other things. 'Cause I know you mentioned them being glass beads. So you also add stones, and
Hmm.
so
Yeah,
you can customize them for whatever they need
absolutely.
healing. And that was going to be another question I had is, how can someone go about like picking the right waist beads for them, because sometimes they're pre-made and we may just pick the ones we think look cute or whatever, or goes with whatever outfit or however women pick their waist beads. But it seems like they should really be more intentional about the selection of the waist beads. So how could someone go about like making sure they're choosing the right strand for them?
Okay. So yeah, so I do, like I said, I started out doing customs, and now, especially since I've had my website, I offer, as you mentioned, the pre-made and ready to wear options as well. And I always list, the healing properties of whichever stone I'm using.
Okay.
So I always just encourage women to take a moment, get still, get quiet, and think about what is it that you're like really trying to focus on at the moment. And that will kind of determine which strand to select for yourself.
Okay.
But I do like to tell ladies as well, I do think there's healing power and healing energy in feeling cute.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And so, because to adorn literally means to make more beautiful. And so if you look on our site or you come and see me at a pop-up in the area and you're literally just drawn to a strand because of how it looks or because of how you feel when you pick it up, then I would lean into that, and I would, just trust your intuition.
Yeah. That's how I am when I go to the crystal store. I'm like, whatever crystal, like I just keep looking at, and I just want to keep rubbing. I'm like, all right, I need to buy you. I need you for a reason. So I definitely believe that.
It's funny you said that, because the first crystal shop I went to, before I really knew much about crystals, I asked one of the young ladies there, like, I'm looking for a crystal to do this thing. And she just stopped me. And she was like, just walk around and see which one you connect with and which one calls out to you. And I was like, okay. And yeah, so I'm definitely a believer in that. Like, just trust your intuition and, see what you're drawn to.
Do the strands do you make the traditional with the cotton, or can a girl like me get a little stretch?
So I actually have a partner who travels to Ghana and brings the traditional ones back wholesale. So I get those
Are
from
you
her.
serious? They're like straight from Ghana? Oh my gosh. Wow.
And so the kind that I personally make are on the stretchy cording.
Okay.
And so the traditional kind, because I don't personally make them, because waist beads are like my babies, like they are so special to me. And so because I haven't personally made them, I spend a lot of time with them before I put them up for sale. I typically let them sit with my selenite stone to, or wand rather, to, clear them of any energies, during their passage from Ghana over here. And then I typically charge them under either the full or new moon, depending on which cycle it is when I get them in. And I also infuse them at the same time, or charge them with a corresponding stone. Like I just got a recent group of, I guess they're like an icy silver color strain. And so I charged them with clear quartz. Especially just before 2020 and the new year, I wanted to make sure I had something charged with clear quartz, which is good for, I like to call it like the Frank's Red Hot of crystals. You can put it on everything. And so, that one attunes to your needs and amplifies healing energy of any other stones, and also amplifies your intentions. So
I love it. And especially with you being a Reiki practitioner, I'm sure as you're spending time with them, you're charging them with some good old Reiki and
all the time.
That is amazing. For all of the women that are listening, could you give anything to them around specifically why we as Black women should be wearing waist beads? I mean, other than the fact that it originated in Africa and all, but like specifically, why do we need to start wearing waist beads?
Well, I think because I kind of feel like as a woman, and especially as a Black woman, we're givers, and we're kind of looked to give so much to everyone around us. And self-care isn't something we tend to make a priority.
Yeah.
And I really feel like Waistbeads encourage you to do that because it's something that it's just for you.
Mm.
And so it's up to you if you invite someone else to see your Waistbeads or interact with them. But at the end of the day, there's something that they're worn on your person.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, your boss could be in a 3-piece suit and have on Waistbeads. And I just feel like they encourage you to be more gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
And to, like, for example, a lot of women wear Waistbeads for weight management. But when the listeners check out my social media or my website, they'll notice that I really don't mention that as often.
Okay. Is there a reason?
I feel like we focus so much on that. And as women, our bodies fluctuate so much. And I feel like society doesn't really support those changes, whether we're, our bodies are changing because of, childbirth or just as we age or hormones. And so I really want to mention that I like them because of their energetic properties and also how, their ability to promote body positivity. For example, before I started wearing Waistbeads, I have 2 children. I have a 15-year-old son and I have a 2-year-old daughter.
Okay.
And so when I had my son, I was about 19 and I was like really, really tiny. And so he gave me what I call my mommy marks, my stretch marks. And Kiara, I just used to hate them. I did not even want to look at my stomach because of how it changed. And I just was having a really tough time accepting it. And so when I started wearing Waistbeads, when you're disrobing and getting ready to shower or change, it caused me to stop and slow down. And it enabled me to look at my body in the way that it changed in a much more loving light. And to acknowledge, like, you grew life here. Like, this is beautiful. This isn't something to be ashamed at or to look at negatively. And I really attribute that shift in, my perspective around, especially that area of my body, to Waistbeads. They were just a healing tool for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
I love that. And especially the fact that you put crystals on them, so you're always walking around with those crystals around your waist. That is so beautiful. Now with Waistbeads, do you never take them off? Like, it's something you can wear swimming, you can wear in the shower, or do you have to take them off?
So with the traditional ones, you don't take those off. Those are, since they're tied on. Now take that back, because I have had a couple women, and I don't know what kind of like contortionists they are.
They wiggle them off?
Yeah, they said that they're able to take them off or even untie them.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I have not been able to, because I tie mine on really tight because I don't want them to come undone while I'm, moving about the world. But some women are, but the vast majority, when you tie on a traditional strand, you're going to be wearing them for like the foreseeable future. Some women keep their Waistbeads on for years. Now, with the stretchy kind, I like those because they're a little more versatile, and I like to, like I said, charge my Waistbeads and things under the moon. And so being able to take them off and put them back on with the stretchy kind, that gives you that option.
Okay.
So you are able to get them wet. I always tell people to try to use as mild and organic of a soap as possible, because sometimes your like mainstream soaps can have a lot of the extra solvents and things, and that'll kind of break down the cording and the string and the luster of the beads. So to use that, rinse them really well and pat them dry really well. But you can get in the ocean, the pool, I mean, wherever, you're good to go.
Okay. Well, what would you say is like a good age? Because I have a 2-year-old, so I feel like she's growing so fast. Like, what is the appropriate age for a girl, a young woman, a young lady to start wearing Waistbeads? You mentioned tradition, when the young woman would go into adulthood. So I'm assuming that means when she started her cycle, or was there like some sort of ceremony around that? Like, is that a good age? What would you say, just personally? Like, what do you What do you
Well,
think?
it depends. Speaking traditionally, so
Mm-hmm.
there were some that would do it, that would adorn their young girls when they, started their moon cycle. And then some
Mm-hmm.
actually would adorn their babies at birth.
Oh, wow.
I actually tied a stretchy strand onto my
Mm-hmm.
daughter when she was 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and so she's outgrown them. And when I first tied them on her, she didn't pay them much attention.
Mm-hmm.
But the older she gets, the more cognizant she gets. She
Mm-hmm.
started tugging at them. So I think that's the main thing. I don't think that there's
There's
an
like a
age
too
where they're too
young.
young. I would
Okay.
just pay attention to see if they're tugging at them a lot, then
Mm-hmm.
they may not be ready, because we don't want them to pop them. And, at that age, they put everything in their
Yeah.
mouth. And so
Mm-hmm.
I just pay close attention. But yeah, either if you're comfortable and you're going to keep a really close eye on them,
Mm-hmm.
um, birth, or, maybe when they start walking. And then
Okay.
definitely I would use it as a tool either just before or once they've started their moon cycle. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
a great conversation starter
Yeah,
as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I
I
actually
love
had an
that.
event earlier this year at a women's wellness center, and
Mm-hmm.
we had a mother and daughter come out. And so it was really good to have, that conversation with them. The owner of the women's center was also an OBGYN. And
Ah,
so she was able to answer all sorts of questions. And
yeah.
then, the waist beads were like the springboard to having that
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Okay, so now I have to give me and my daughter some waist beads.
Yes, yes.
This is
Especially
so
since we're
good.
local.
Yes, absolutely. And then for
Mhm.
those who aren't local, they can reach you online at
Yes.
theyonlylove.com to place their
Mhm.
orders. I know you do a lot of workshops and events and pop-ups. So guys, make sure you check her out, especially on Wednesday. So she
Yes.
has Waist Bead Wednesdays, and it's her weekly offering of limited edition pre-made waist beads. And a new
Yes.
design is posted on her social media channels and added to her website every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern
Yes.
Standard Time. And they're limited and they go fast. So make sure you
Yes.
guys check her out on Wednesdays for Waist Bead Wednesdays. And again, she does a bunch of pop-ups and events, and she'll also be offering some subscription boxes and all of this greatness. So you guys make sure you check her out. I am so excited. I am really gonna place an order. So for the little ones, do you make, like, in the description, does it say like the sizing, or when someone orders, is it like, do they have to give you their waist measurements and then you make them, or how does that go about?
So for the pre-made ones, I
Mm-hmm.
would need your waist measurements in
Mm-hmm.
inches. And there's information on my site as well as far as how to measure.
Okay.
For the traditional style, because you would tie those on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
unless you come to see me at an event. If
Mm-hmm.
you're at one of my pop-up events, then I'm happy to tie them on for you. But
Okay.
with those, if you have your waist measurements, I would say put them in when you place your order. But the
Mm-hmm.
good thing is you don't necessarily need them, because what you would do is, when you get your strand in the
Mm-hmm.
mail,
Mm-hmm.
you would just wrap it around your waist, the area where you want them to sit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would slide off any excess beads before
Oh,
you tie
okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you don't,
Nice.
so yeah, with the traditional kind, you don't necessarily need your waist measurements.
Mhm. Mhm. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so very versatile.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
love it. So before you go, one more time, if you could just wrap us up with, again, why Black women need to start wearing waist beads. What are some benefits and some reasoning around why this is such a beautiful thing for them to wear?
Just like I said, to exercise a bit more, um to be more gentle with yourself,
Yeah.
to view your body in a much more positive light,
Mhm.
to have something that you don't have to share with anyone. I'm
Yes.
sure a lot of your listeners are probably mothers or mother figures or aunties, and
Mhm.
we give a lot. We put a lot out into the world. So having something that is just for you, that
Mhm.
helps, like I said, promote body positivity, promote you to slow down and get
Mhm.
reacquainted with your body as well,
Yes.
to pay attention to how it's shifting. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned, traditionally they come from where we come from. They come from Africa, and so it's just another way to stay connected to our origin.
And
they're
again,
pretty.
And they are pretty. They're so cute. They are really, really, really cute. But I'm glad the listeners were able to learn more about waist beads outside of the cuteness, right? Because you share some deep stuff. And thank you for sharing your personal story, your personal story and your personal journey. And I loved hearing you mention just all of the feedback that you get from customers who have sought you out as a healer. And I'm just so grateful for you and just the work that you're doing and your purpose to help these women heal. And you know, it sounds like it's more to you than just a hobby. Like, I'm just sitting up here stringing beads to sell online. Like, no, like there is real purpose and intention behind it. The fact that you get the pre-made beads from Ghana, you don't just pop them out the box and pop them online. Like, you actually spend time with them.
Yeah.
You charge them. You cleanse them. Like, that is so beautiful.
Thank you.
So I hope that our listeners reach out to you for waist beads. I know I will be. I'm super, super excited, and especially to know that you put crystals on them, because I'm super obsessed with crystals. And just their energetic connection, and they're tied to our different chakra areas and things like that. So I am super excited. Thank you so much again for this conversation. I know a lot of women are like, what? I didn't know that. I thought they was just cute. And they are. Right. They like, I am not taking that away from waist beads. They are beautiful. So just now knowing the history and the real meaning makes me want to wear them even more.
Oh, and thank you so much for having me. Like I said, I it's so funny that you reached out, because I literally had just finished listening to your interview on another podcast.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God. I was telling everyone, there's a Black woman therapist and she's in PG County and she does Reiki. I was like, oh my God. So this is like perfect time. And I was so happy.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week on the Afro Chi podcast. Be sure to visit our website at afroqi.com and on all social media platforms at The Afro QI. Subscribe to this podcast now so you never miss a show.